Okay, so yesterday itself we had a demo on day one, right? So where we were discuss about the curriculum. So what are the content we are going to cover on this 5-in-1 Firewall Mastery Program? Okay, so today we are going to enter into the like firewall introduction and then firewall FortiGate firewall uh, initial configuration. Very first time when you're getting a FortiGate firewall, how to configure your FortiGate firewall. That two sessions, two part of sessions we are going to see today. Okay. So before that, as I mentioned here, before start my recording, so this is our portal. Okay, and in this portal, sorry, this is our website where you can able to access our LMS and about us, what type of courses we are providing and all, right? So that you can able to verify here. And if you go to after enroll, right? So after enroll, if you want, we are providing a daily session recorded video, and that recorded video you can able to access from our LMS portal itself. So with direct website, okay, or through application, Android applications, you can able to access this portal. Okay, so by clicking this LMS, access LMS, and it will be redirected to the our portal. And here, if you go to this course, and here you can just log in with your account. So after login, after join this courses, we will provide the login credentials to you, and we will add you into the what type of courses you have taken, like 5-in-1 Firewall Mastery Program. So if you're taking a 5-in-1 Firewall Mastery Program as a first firewall, if you're taking a evening batch, right? So that batch will start with the FortiGate. Okay, and morning we do have morning batch. So evening batch schedule is 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. As usual this time. Okay, the same time, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And morning batch timing is 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. The time zone is Indian Standard Time. Okay, IST, as per IST, the time zone. So you, and after join this courses, we will provide you the LMS access where you can able to access the daily session recorded videos and sometimes live session we'll host through that LMS portal itself. So you can able to join the documents, whatever the course material that also will be uploaded in our portal. You can directly access from our application, guys. Okay, so this is the portal. Okay, so we'll share the links where you can access this portals. Okay, so after this today's demo, guys. Okay, so as I mentioned, so this today's session is going to be a two part. Okay, so just a minute. The first session, I just want to give you some walkthrough about firewall. So introduction to the firewall. So I'm not going to get into the deeper, like I'm going to give some small intro about the firewall. What is firewall? What are the type of firewall we have? What it will do? And when you're going to the actual curriculum, I mean in a live sessions, so there we will I mean I will explain everything deeper way. What is traditional firewalls? What is the proxy firewall, application firewall? If we have time today itself, we will discuss. If not, ev- I'll explain it in a deeper way in our live session, guys. Okay. So first part of session, it's going to talk about firewall, introduction to the firewall. Introduction to the firewall technologies. Okay, so this is for those who are not aware or those who don't have an idea about the firewalls. You might work with this and network support related jobs, or you might work with the different kind of jobs. Maybe you may have a knowledge about the firewall, but some of the people it's very new, right? So that's the reason I'm starting here. I'm just giving an introduction to the firewall, and then second of the session we are going to do some lab with FortiGate firewall, because this FortiGate firewall, as a first firewall training program, we are going to start FortiGate in the evening, and in morning we are going to start with the ASA. Okay, so regarding any, if you're looking for a demo for any other firewalls like Paloalto, ASA, Checkpoint. We will share you the link where you can access our uh, previous sessions, recorded videos. So there you can see that recorded videos you can just consider as your demo. I'm going to share that recorded session, and that you can consider for a demo purpose. So where if you want to know more about my teaching styles. Okay. So let's start our today's demo. As I mentioned, I'm going to start with firewall introduction. So before that, I want to go with this session, and I want to know anybody have what kind of ideology you have about the firewalls. Okay. So actually, any idea what is firewall? So you can, okay, it's a security devices. Okay. You can unmute yourself.
Firewalls are basically security devices which are used to protect internal and used to protect our network from internal and external threats.
Okay. Nice. So anybody else, guys? If you are hesitant to talk, you can share your thought through chat itself, guys. So no issues. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So firewall is a device which will control and monitor the traffic. Okay, that's fine. Anything else? Okay, guys. So that's fine. According to me, so firewall, it's a mechanism. Okay. So actually, it's a device, or you can say it's a hardware, or you can say it's a software, whatever else. So it's doing some functionality. It's right. So it has some mechanism where it is going to do control. It's a good firewall need to do two activities: control and monitor. So this monitor, you can also, in other way, you can also call it as a deep inspection. So more than that, okay, control, and it's need to monitor the traffic. So so in terms of firewall terminology, if you look at any definition, so they will always say like firewall will help us to control the traffic. It can allow or deny some traffic, just like that. They will say that. But it's a good, if it is a good firewall, a next generation firewall, if you talk about the next generation firewalls, firewall need to do inspect inspect your allowed traffic, even though it's allowed. Okay, so firewall will allow and deny some traffic, right? So if it is the firewall, if it is allow the traffic while control the control mechanism, execute the control mechanism, either it will do two activities, either allow and deny. It will do normal firewall, so just traditional firewalls, or by using just in your router by creating access list, you can control the traffic. Then that does not mean by full-fledged firewall. Okay, so if it is a firewall, if it is allowed any traffic, so anything is not secure, anything is non-trustable in the internet, right? So now, so any traffic is coming from the internet to your so internally also within your corporate network also, if they try to communicate, we should not now. The companies nowadays, they are implementing zero trust policy. So which means either they, whether it might be their own network, I mean the internal network or external network, they will not ready to trust anything. So definitely they need to inspect all the traffic. Okay, so that kind of uh, security implementation they are looking right now. Okay, so if the firewall simply allow the traffic, it's not not enough to provide or it's not enough to implement the securities in your production network. So also it has to, if it is allowed, it has to verify the allowed traffic, whether it contains any vulnerability, any virus or malware, anything else, or it is any intrusion, or it's doing the activities have some uh, malfunctioning, the data might have some malfunctioning activities, right? So everything it's need to monitor. If suppose anything like happen like that, your firewall immediately take action. It's done by the inspection process. Okay, so that's the reason. It's not control the traffic, it's also need to monitor the traffic, or simply it's also inspect, not monitor. The exact word is, you can say it's a inspect the traffic. Okay, so this, if the device it's doing these two activities, then that is called a efficient firewall. Okay, so this inspection, still this inspection have a lot of different type of inspection. We have the inspection based on the application, based on the vulnerability, based on the url, right? So that and all we can able to implement. So next generation firewalls to provide all type of inspection. Okay, so fine. So firewall. Okay, then why we need a firewall? So we know what is firewall. Firewall is a device. I mean, firewall is a mechanism which help us to prevent our network from any vulnerability or any intrusions. Okay, so which by doing two major activities. One is controlling mechanism and deep inspection. Okay, so if now why we need to control? So we right now we know what is firewall. Firewall will do control and deep inspect the traffic, right? If you are allowed the traffic. Okay, so then why we need to implement this security product in your production network? Why we need that? So we know what is firewall, why we need that firewall. Any ideology, guys? Why we need this firewall, guys? Why we need to protect your environment? I mean your organization, or it might be your home. Nowadays in our home network also we need a firewall. It's because we are in modern world. It's move on into the modern networking equipments in the home based network itself, like, right? So iot, we are connecting with multiple iot devices. Our daily day to day activities, devices which are all the it's coming from the like maybe we have a washing machine, or we may have a fridges, right? So fridge like that, whatever daily utilization devices also we are connecting with. Nowadays we are connecting with the network itself. Okay, so your home network also, as soon as possible, uh, in all the I mean, uh, in all the home networks also they will be implemented in future firewall. It's because of your, and I mean smart home network. Okay, smart homes. Okay, so that's fine. So then why we need it, guys? Why we need this firewall? So it's because, what is the need of implementing this firewall? Okay, let's say, okay, this is my home. Okay, so this is my home, right? Or you can say right now I'm uh, living on apartments. Okay, let's assume that this is not only my home. Okay, so I'm living on the top of this apartment. So somebody is trying to meet me, right? He's trying to meet me and he's trying to come to visit my home. Okay. So he is trying to come visit me. So this is not my personal home. I mean, this is not only I'm not only the person who is living here. So also we have hundreds of apartments here in this, hundreds of the flats we have. So hundreds of the families are lying. Okay, so living here. Okay, so in normally he is my friend and he is coming to meet me. Likewise, all that 100 peoples are having guests and all are trying to come to here. So, right? So it's just like a open space right now. So what will happen? Anybody can come. So anybody can use the common area. So they are not the part of that particular apartments, or that they are not even the common peoples can able to enter, or public people can able to enter and utilize the common areas, or they can enter into the or flats with, because we don't have any security system. I mean, we don't have any security, right? So security guards we are not yet implemented. So what will happen here? So it doesn't mean only the right person only is trying to me. I mean, we cannot ensure that who is trying to come to access your common area of this apartments, or who is trying to reach your neighbors, right? So whether they really their your neighbors or your they might enter into your flats as well. We will not able to make sure who is trying to enter, because it's a open space right now. There is no security guards are implemented, so no one is here to uh sorry guys, no one is here to defend them to enter inside the your apartments, right? So what will happen? It might lead some theft, right? So thief might enter, or the unknown person might enter, and they might get your properties, right? So it is very harmful to your this entire apartments, right? So what they have to we need to make sure the apartment security. So what we will do, all these 100 peoples will arrange one or two guys who is always do surveillance. So they are called security guards. So now what will happen? So there is a security guards whenever anybody try to come, right? So if someone is trying to meet you, or someone is trying to meet anybody, anyone from this apartments, right? So this person, he will make sure who is that guy and who is trying. So he will ask him, "So who are you, and to whom you are going to meet, and what purpose you are going to meet, and please enter, add some information," right? So they will maintain some record. Who is trying to, who is he, and his vehicle number or his contact number while enter, whether what if he enter into the car or bike, whatever it is, vehicle number they will enter, and then mobile number, right? And to whom you are going to meet, and name, right? Name, mobile number, and to whom you are going to meet, right? So all to whom you are going to meet in this flat. So what is the flat number, right? So like that, they will enter everything, and they also mention when he is entering and when he is exit, the time. Okay. So now what will happen? So if someone has tried to enter into your apartments, or where try to access your common utility areas, or try to enter in uh, enter into other house without having any proper permission, so that will be avoided, because there is one person dedicatedly, we have one person to continuously monitor, and who is coming and who is going and what purpose he is meeting, right? Who is he try to meet, right? And what purpose he is going on, right? Everything he will be monitored, and if someone something has happened, right? By using this record, we can identify them and we can able to. So because of since we are maintaining the records, automatically most of the people, the common area people, or who, most of the unknown people will automatically they will drop, right? So they will not try to enter into the on your premises. So it's because of this we implemented one security guard, and he's not doing much, but he try to enter add some information, like he always make sure who is coming inside and who is going outside, and what is the purpose he is trying, he is to whom he is going to meet, and what is the purpose. So these data only he is maintaining. Okay, so because of that we avoid lot of security issues in terms of in real time real life scenario, right? The same way, it's just like a people living area, right? The same way in our organization, we have, let's say, in this organization, we have a different type of employment, I mean, teams and different type of, we have some more different kind of resources and assets we have, right? So digital assets, and there come the hardwares or bonds, whatever it's based on the company project they are investing, what is the process they are doing, right? So like that we have a different kind of digital assets we have, right? So that might be the upcoming project information, that might be a, let's say if it is a bank, okay, this is a bank, so they will have the client information, like account details of the client and contact details and their card informations, right? So they have multiple sensitive information. This data is digital asset for that particular, and in their account, in their bank has some right. So in bank we have some physical money, physical gold, and likewise not only physical thing, and digitally we have digital money also we have, and then digital I mean data, their more valuable data, their user information, their account details, their and use their bank login credentials of their users, right? So these are all the digital assets for that particular bank. So if we don't have these kind of, let's say we have a physical, in every bank we have a physical security system, security guards we have, and they can able to identify the people who is trying to enter into your bank and what purpose they are entering and what is the process they are doing, right? So that they can able to implement. But now if someone has tried to access your bank over the internet, let's say this is the bank and bank server we have here. Over the server, in the server we have a account your customer information. Okay, customer info. What about the date, like the credit card holders information and credit card detail, like what is the credit card number and what is the validity and what is the CVV, and then and their OTP, I mean their mobile number which is integrated with your credit card, right? Everything, all the details they are maintaining. Not only credit card, like what's all the banking process, the digital assets, digital information they have. So inside this server only. So now one guy, let's say from here, so this is the internet. From internet, one guy he tried to access this bank server. Now he is sitting in the internet and he tried to access your bank server. okay, and if he has, so he can able to connect with your bank server once from the internet as a normal user, okay, or let's say in your server. And from the server, if you don't have any security mechanism, whether right now we don't have any device like physical security guards where he can he do some entry like who is and try to reach that particular location or that particular bank, right? So what purpose he is enter into the bank, right? So all the detail that physical security guard will maintain, right? So like the previous example, so the security guard will maintain who is coming and for what purpose he is coming and everything he will maintain. But here, when in terms of digital communication, right? So the user is trying to access your bank server, and who is trying to access? How to verify that he is a valid user? He is an authorized user. Whether he has an he might have account on this bank, or he might not have account on this bank, or he he has a valid account, but he's not a normal user. He is a hacker, right? He is a hacker, digital thief. Okay, so now he tried to enter your server and a bank server, and he tried to collapse your I mean he tried to steal your data, whatever the data you have in your inside the bank server, like your customer's name and card details, loan details, everything. And he can, by using that information, he can misuse the data, or he can sell this data to the dark, some other hackers who will misuse the data. Okay, so now how to avoid this, guys? So we need a digital security guard to verify that, so whether this person is the right person, he has an account on this banks, or he is accessing his own bank account or not, or he is doing any legal activities or illegal activities. How to verify that? So we need a digital safeguard, digital guard, right? So security guard, which is called firewall. So here, what will happen? So if you are place your firewall, same like this guard. So now if he try to access your bank network or bank server, right? So now what will happen? This person will be authenticated by this device called firewall. It will verify the same like this physical security guard, what he will do, who is he, and why to whom he is going to meet, and what purpose he is coming, right? So like that, he will maintain a record, right? So this firewall will maintain a record like that. Who is he? He is this person, whether it might be a employee of that particular bank, or user of that bank, or it's a new user, right? So new request he might submit, or he might be a hacker, right? So how to identify that? So your firewall will have all the data. I mean, the firewall will do. Your next generation firewalls have all the accessibility to verify he is the right user and who he is trying to access which kind of application or not, and what kind of data he is trying to communicate. He is trying to inject in your production network, whether this is a valid data or not. So firewall can able to do inspect, just like a physical security guard, how he will inspect, right? How he will maintain a record, and the same way it will maintain a record. And the same way it will maintain a record, and along with that, once it is approved the communication, it will started to inspect that whatever the data he is trying to send or he try to download, right? So everything it will be inspect. If it is anything vulnerable, it will be block it. Okay, so that purpose only we need a firewall, guys. Okay, so firewall, we know firewall will control and deny the traffic. And why we need to use this device? So digital as to secure your digital assets, your organization asset might be very sensitive, right? So different. Okay, so that asset we need to secure not only from the outside threader. He is an outside threader, right? The hacker is an outside threader. If suppose, let's assume one of the employee here, he is working in this particular bank and he know all the activities, especially he is handling the credit card process. Okay, so he know who is recently applied for the credit card and what is the credit card details and everything. What is the register number and everything he knows. So now in a normal use case, what will happen? So this data he can able to, it's all this data is digitally documented, right? So this digital document he can able to get from his, he can give some hardware like pen drive or hard disk, right? From there he can able to just copy, or he can use the general internet to upload this data, that data information, right? So in that case, if the digital, if you have a physical security guard, he will not able to identify that because he using a digital medium to copy this data. Okay, so this person is not aware of. Okay, so here your firewall will not only protect your outside threader and also inside threader. It can able to provide, like, it can able to identify by the help of deep inspection. So whatever he key, whether the internal employee try to access some, while try to access the internet, whatever the activity he is doing. So while he might try to upload some data, will upload, and if you have a firewall and in this firewall you are implemented deal data leakage protection, policy, and card number kind of data, and definitely that the internal employees also you can able to restrict, so by the help of this device. So that is the reason we need firewall in your production. So simply we can control and control the traffic, whether we are going to allow or deny, we are going to allow or deny that particular access. So that is not a full-fledged firewall activities. So we need to do deep inspects. And why we need to do deep inspect? Whether the particular outside threader might inject some vulnerable, or sometimes the trustable people itself, they will be a vulnerable. Okay, so they will inside threader, they will call it as an inside threader, and they will try to steal your value by the help of their using their privileges. Okay, so to avoid that, we have this kind of protection in our firewalls, guys. Okay, so that's why we need to implement firewall in your organization. Okay, it's not firewall, it's must needed, not wherever you are connected with the network. Okay, so in that's why I said previously, in nowadays, due to smart home automations, we need to, in future we will implement. So just like how we are having a wire, OT network, same way in future we will have, along with we'll have one firewall. Okay, so the firewall is must needed product. Okay, not only for the enterprise, not only for the big organization, also for the our daily utilization, home-based activities as well. Okay, so that's fine. So now we know what is firewall and why we need the, it's most important, why we need that firewall. What is, so if you know why we need that firewall, and you can easily understand what is the use case of that firewall, what is the usage of that firewall. Okay, so any doubts as of now, guys? I hope now you have some idea what is firewall and what is the use, or why we need this firewall. Clear? Any doubts? So now this firewall. Okay. So I'm going to classify in a different method. Okay, so the firewall you can able to classify in a different way. One is platform wise. So which means so hardware based firewall and software based firewall. You can classify like that. Okay. Or functionality wise. I am going to and I'm going to differentiate this of firewall by functionality wise. Okay. Network based firewall. Network firewalls, endpoint protection. Endpoint protection. Okay. So endpoint protection means we are utilizing that endpoint protection in if in our day-to-day life. So endpoint protection, it's nothing, all your antivirus program, antivirus applications, or when if you're using a Windows user, Windows Defender, Windows Defender application firewall, inbuilt firewall of your Windows operating system, which can do, which can protect only on that particular machine endpoint. Let's say I have, let's take an example. I have in my home network, I have connected with 10 PCs. Okay. So in my home network itself. So to protect this 10 PCs, if I have an endpoint protection, I need to install that endpoint protection applications in each and every individual machines, and that will protect from the vulnerabilities on that particular machine only. Each individual machine only it will be protect. Let's say in system one, I have installed antivirus program. Okay, or I have some Windows Defender activate. I have activated my Windows Defender firewall. Okay, and Windows 2 I don't have. I have just disabled that firewall. Okay, so in that case, if any vulnerability is tried to inject from internet someone, or unknowingly I'm trying to download some vulnerable file from the internet, let's say from Facebook or any social networking application, I try to just click the vulnerable link, right? Vulnerable data files. I'm trying to. I have endpoint protection, which is called Windows Defender Firewall, Active Defender Firewall in my PC one. Okay, so now this Windows Defender, what it will do? It will do deep deep scan, and it will identify whether it is a vulnerable or whether it's a virus or malware. And if it is identified, it will be tried. It will notify you, and it will be block that application source. So I mean file whatever you try to download. And Windows 2, the same file I try to download. Now this Windows 2 is not able to understand because we switched off the endpoint protection application, Windows Defender firewall. Now the Windows 2 machine will not have any ideology. So we are downloading any vulnerable link or virus or malware, anything. So the malware will be automatically injected. So now this Windows Defender can protect on that particular machine only. Endpoint protection always will give a protection to that specific machine wherever it is installed. Okay. Then what is network file? Now I need a solution. I am not able to install all the 10 all if it is it's fine 10 devices I have. If suppose I have 100 thousands 100 PCs 1000 PCs and all in my production network. Okay, so I'm not able to keep on verify that whether I have installed that endpoint protection application, whether that application is properly activated or not, right? So it's very difficult, right? So for this, I have one solution called network firewall. If you have a network firewall, so you no need to install. It doesn't mean you should not install the endpoint protection, but it's not mandatory to install the endpoint protection because you have a network firewall which is more capable than your endpoint protection, and which is also capable to protect your entire network based protection, not endpoint devices based. I mean, all this 10 machines or 100 machines, 1000 machines can be protected if I have network firewall, because when the traffic, any vulnerability is injected and it's over the network itself before enter into the your endpoint devices, this firewall can be identified. It will be identified your vulnerable, any whatever the vulnerable spyware your the dead the hacker is trying to inject, and this firewall, let's say this is PC1 and this is PC2. So this PCs, this is the firewall I have, and from the internet, now the attacker are he is sending some malicious files, right? So if you have a firewall, right? So let's say this is a Paloalto firewall or FortiGate firewall. So this firewall, while try to enter this traffic inside your gateway, right? So this firewall will do deep inspect and it will identify this is a vulnerable traffic. So it will be denied, dropped here itself. So now all your internal pieces will be, internal resources will be safe now, and which is done by your network. These kind of products called network firewalls, which can protect your entire network, not only the end devices. We have shared devices like shared medium access point we have, and wireless access point we have, and we have a printer, right? Printer we have. So shared medium we have. So all these mediums can be protected by the network firewalls. Okay, network level protection it will give. It will not give protection only for that specific machine. It will give a protection to entire network. Okay, so this this is doing major role in terms of security. Okay, in your organization. So so that's the reason. Because all the organization are always, they will not able to give a keep on I to 100 pieces individually, 1000 pieces individually, right? So any update, any other, let's say all these 1,000 pieces are running under Windows operating system. Suddenly one one vulnerability is identified, one loophole is identified in Windows operating system. So by the loophole, this hacker, he tried to inject some malicious. Okay, so so as soon as the loophole is identified, the vendor Microsoft will fix that, and they will give a patch update for that. So you need to manually do this patch update for 1,000 PCs. It is not easy to do it, is right. So as soon as possible to identify this patch. Okay. So it will take some time. Meanwhile, all this 1,000 PC we should not, I mean, we should access that 1,000 PCs in because our business running and our employee activities, our employees are using this digital devices resources only. So we cannot avoid to use this Windows operating system. We should you serve the internet, right? So in that case, if I have an endpoint protection, or if I need to do a patch update, it is not very easy to do that. So instead of that, I can I can use this product called firewall, and I can able to implement, I can able to identify that vulnerability, and I can give a protection against that vulnerability for entire network guys. Okay. So network firewall is one of the mandatory product. So all the organization, they will implement. Okay, which is next generation firewall. Okay, even though it's a firewall, it should be a next generation firewall to protect your entire network in an efficient way. Okay, so this is called now, what is a network firewall. So with network firewall will give us security to your entire network. Will make sure your entire network is secure. Endpoint protection, it will give protection with only specific machine, which is where it is installed. Okay, so by functionality wise, I'm going to divide this firewall like this. An example for endpoint protection is Windows Defender. Windows Defender. Example for network firewall, whatever the firewall here you are going to learn. FortiGate, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Cisco ASA, Cisco FTD, right? All these firewalls are network-based firewalls. Okay, so again, now this firewall, again, I'm going to classify because we are going to learn in this 5-in-1 Firewall Mastery Program network firewall only, right? So this firewall, again, I'm going to classify network firewall, and again, I'm going to classify this network firewall in a different way. One is called traditional firewall. Okay, and next generation firewall. In between, we have two different kind of firewalls. So I'll explain what is that. Okay. So this traditional firewall itself, we have two kind of firewalling function, a firewalling device. One is called a packet filtering, is called stateful filter. Okay. So all next generation firewalls are working under the concept called stateful. So what is stateful? So the previous example I have given, right? So this security, how he will maintain the record, who is coming and to whom he is going to meet. So what is his name? Source, his name, source address, and to whom he is going to meet, destination, and for what purpose, services, protocol and port number service. For what purpose? For what service he is trying to access, right? So like that, there's a how the physical security guard will maintain the record, like what is the what is his name and what is visitor name, and or the flat owner name and what purpose and when he is trying to visit and when he is exit, all the record he will maintain, right? The same way in a digital communication, Shiv, ASA, it is starting with morning batch. Okay, morning. ASA, along with ASA, we'll go with FTD and FMC. Okay. So after completion of ASA, suddenly we'll start with FTD only, FTD FMC only. And just ping me in my WhatsApp. So, right, I'll let you know. The timing will be 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Okay. So you can just ping me for the details. So I'll assist you for that. Okay, fine. So now the same way, your firewall will maintain that record. If your firewall is maintain that record, that is called a stateful firewall. The same way how the physical guard, I mean the security guard in front of that apartment, he's maintaining a record who is coming and who is going and when he is coming, to whom he is meeting, what purpose he is visiting, right? Everything he is maintained, right? The same way, if your digital device, digital security guard, if that device maintain that record, that is called stateful firewall, and that record is called state table, connection table, or connection table, or session table. You can say anything. All are same. It will maintain the information. So like what is the source IP, what is the destination IP, what is the what is the service, and what is the protocol, what is the port number, and when he initiate the session is initiated, and when it is going to, I mean, once it is finished, it will be it will enter that info as well. The session, when the session is ended, that information also will be maintained in your connection table, and that if that table is maintained by your hardware or software, the fire which is doing a firewalling activities, right? So that device working under stateful functionality. If the firewalls or firewalling mechanism, it will not maintaining any record who is coming, when he is coming, right? And when it is, what purpose he is visiting, right? So if he not maintain any record, and simply he is trying to deny the traffic based on control, it will do only control the traffic, and whatever the instruction you are giving based on that IP, protocol, port number, source IP, destination IP, protocol and port. only layer 3 and layer 4 filters only will be applicable and it will be denied. If your firewall is doing like that, that is called stateless firewall, or that is called packet filtering firewall. So the traditional firewalling methodology is implemented in a two way. One is packet filtering firewall. So which is nothing, your routing, normal routing devices in your Cisco router or Juniper router or in your home router, you have options to create access control list to deny some traffic, right? Based on the source and destination, whatever you are defining, right? And it will not maintain, you can allow or deny. The access list you can create for allow or deny, but when you're using a packet filtering firewall, right? Your Cisco router as a firewall, it will do execute the ACLs to control the traffic. And but what is the drawback? It can able to control the traffic. It will do only control. If it is a good firewall, what are the activities it has to do? Just controlling the traffic. It's not. It doesn't mean you're having a good security system implemented in your production network. You should do, if the traffic is any traffic is allowed, we need to do deep inspect. You need to verify that this packet filtering device will do that deep inspection. Traditional firewalling will not do that deep inspection. Traditional firewall will do control the traffic. Deep inspection will not be done by the traditional firewalls. So in especially in traditional firewall, if you don't have a dedicated device to control the traffic like firewall, dedicated firewall, you can use your routers as your firewall. By using access control list, you can control the traffic, and you can implement the firewalling features in your routers. Okay, if you're doing like that, it will use only layer 3 and layer 4 filters, which means you can control the traffic based on the IP and protocol and port number, which means layer 3 and layer 4 only you can able to identify, and you can able to allow or deny and block. Okay, and since it is not the packet filtering firewall, it doesn't maintain any record. That's the particular session is already at. Okay, let me give some example for that record. Okay, let's say now this system A want to access the internet, Facebook. Here you have your router or ASA firewall. ASA also will not maintain, ASA will maintain a record. So we'll go with the router itself. Your Cisco router you have, or your home Wi-Fi, your home router might you have. Okay, let's assume like that. And internet, and this is Facebook server. And here, this person, he tried to download 100 MB data file. 150 MB data file he tried to download. Okay, and or let's assume like that 150 MB data he's tried to upload in FB server. So this 150 MB data will be converted as a 100 IP packet, right? So 1.5 MB data will be converted into the packet in each and individual packet, right? So 100 packets for we need for 150 MB data. Okay, so this 100 packets one by one it will be reach your firewall gateway, and your firewall is the, I mean your router is the gateway, and it's need to further forward the traffic. And we implemented we are going to allow system A to access the Facebook application by using layer 3 source IP as a filter and destination IP as a filter. Okay, and protocol is a HTTPS web services, HTTPS as a service, and we given an action allow accept. Okay, so now what will happen? This traffic will reach your gateway. Your ASA will check, and it will check the whether we have a ACL for this particular traffic for source and destination. If ACL is matching, ACL will be executed. So this in this packet filtering firewall, ACL will be executed per packet level, right? Okay. So now what will happen? The session is same. User initiated the Facebook traffic, and the session is active right now, and it's the same traffic only, but it is converted as a 100 IP packet. So now in a packet filtering firewalling function, so each and every IP packet will be executed with the same ACL. So already for the same source, same destination, same services. So the session is already active, but still 100 times this ACL will be executed. And along with that, for reverse reply traffic, while getting a reply acknowledgement. Reverse traffic also, sometimes you need to execute the ACL, you need to accept that. ACL need to be accepted. Okay, so ACL execution will be happen. Because of that, your router workload will be higher, guys. Your router's workload will be higher. Okay, so now what will happen? Because your router already have a lot of functionality like NAT need to be implemented, routing protocols need to be implemented. Along with that, you have implemented that firewalling feature. So it's because of that over workload will be happen, and ACL unnecessary. First main drawback is for the same traffic unnecessarily we are executing the ACL multiple time. It's because of there is no record. There is no record maintained by that device. This session is already authenticated, this traffic is already authenticated so like that there is no information, so your router keep on will execute that in ACLs for each and every IP packet. Because of that workload will be happen, and by using this packet filtering firewall you can allow or deny the traffic only based on the layer 3 and layer 4 network layer and transport layer filters only you can able to implement. If you want to the use case, let's say I want the for the same user, I want to allow Facebook. Inside the Facebook, I want to deny Facebook chat, micro application. I want to deny Facebook chat application. So application level filters, it will not, no layer 7 inspection. There is no application layer visibility. So your inspection will not be possible. You cannot inspect user is using what kind of application, what kind of data, the data is safest data or not. That implementation is not possible in your traditional firewalling. Okay, especially in terms of packet filtering, it will do ACL execution multiple times. So it will give a over workload to your hardware. CPU index will be happen. Your network might be slow down because of overload. And this packet filtering firewall is not suitable for the modern network and huge network enterprise networks and all. And by using this traditional firewall you cannot achieve the security implementation properly. So it is always will be a security threat to your network. Okay, because there is no inspection, there is no application visibility, so there is no deep inspection. If there is no deep inspection, the vulnerability, virus, malware, any vulnerability will not be identified. So your entire production network will be getting infected with the virus or malware or getting hacked by the attackers. Okay, so there is no security implement. Okay, so to avoid that, in a traditional methodology itself, they bring one concept called stateful, and they have replaced, instead of to avoid the workload for your router, they replaced one more device. They identify one. They bring one device called a firewall. That firewall product, one of the stateful traditional firewall example for stateful. Still, this is a traditional firewall, but still it is a stateful filtering, which means it will this ASA firewall will maintain a record. So who is coming and when he is coming and what application, what service he tried to access, and whether the session is active or not, right? So everything will be maintained, and by using the same ACL only, we'll filter the traffic. But here, since we are using a connection table, we can avoid the multiple ACL execution. Okay, so workload will be reduced. Okay, so comparatively, packet filtering than in a traditional firewalling, packet filtering is more. I mean, comparatively, stateful ASA firewall is the more valuable device or more functional device than your router in terms of firewalling features. But both are having a same kind of issue. Only advantage by using ACL is it will maintain a connection table, so it will reduce the multiple ACL execution. So it is reducing the work pressure to that particular device workload. Okay, so latency will be reduced. Okay, but in terms of security, still it's a traditional firewall. It is not doing a deep inspection. Only it will work. Still, it will work only layer 3 and layer 4 implementation. Okay, inspection. Okay, so you can allow or deny the traffic based on the IP address, protocol or port number only, right? And so you can simply fix multiple ACL execution, and that is the one of the advantage. But again, the same issues are there. So you don't have a no inspection. Monitoring is not possible. If you're using a traditional ASA firewall, there is no monitoring or inspection. Deep inspection is not possible by this device. Okay, so again the same drawback. Which if you don't have a deep inspection, the next generation firewall features like if you want to block the specific application access for that particular user, right? So Facebook chat, I want to allow Facebook, but inside the Facebook chat micro application, I want to deny. That is not possible in your Cisco ASA. And I want to block some application URL websites. That is not possible. I want to do deep inspects. I want to identify whether the data is infected by the virus, malware, and by spyware, whatever it is, right? Whether it is an intrusion or whether it is having some it's already infected by virus or not. That implementation, that deep inspection is not possible since it doesn't work on layer 7. Okay, so that is the drawback when you are using a traditional firewall. Okay, so to avoid that drawback, okay, in previous days they implemented. Okay, still, this ASA firewall is good in VPN activities, routing, NAT, all L3 and L4 activities, L3 and L4 filters, plus VPN traffic, VPN, NAT, routing, right? So L3 and L4 firewalling, VPN, NAT, and routing functionalities, it's still it's do in an efficient way. Okay, so what they have implemented later on, only thing is there is no application visibility to control or deny the traffic based on the application wise. So later on, they have implemented one firewalling device, which is not full-fledged firewall. They implemented only for layer 7 inspection. That is called application firewall. Okay, so which will do. I'll come back to the proxy firewall later. Okay, so that is called application firewall, which can do deep inspect layer 7. So application wise. So any web-based application, if you want to block, or any specific applications you want to block it, right? So that block or allow that you can able to implement by the help of this application firewall. But this application firewall will not do layer 3 and layer 4 filters. So this firewall, what you have to do, let's say if you have an existing firewall, let's say this is my ASA firewall and connected with the ISP, and this is the user, and here this is my internal network. I have internal PCs here. And if I want to implement layer 7 inspection as a dedicated application firewall, I need to deploy in between my ASA firewall and my internal network. So this will be act like an application firewall. So all layer 3 functions, layer 4 filter, layer 3 filter, routing, NAT, VPN, everything it will be implemented by ASA firewall. When after that the traffic will pass to your application firewall. Okay, so that specifically will do deep inspect on the application layer only. And if that specific application is having any vulnerable, or if that specific application is allowed or denied, the deep inspection will be done here. And if it is safe, then only the traffic will be further forward to your internal network, and it will reach your destination, your internal users. Okay, so like that, you need to add it is an additional hardware, additional product you need to implement in your existing network. So this is this is called application firewall, guys. Okay, it now still we are using this application based firewalls, and as an additional security in by you along with your next generation firewall as a gateway firewall they will be implemented, and additionally to secure your servers, application servers, they will implement this application firewall additional security purpose. But in a previous days, to achieve the layer 7 inspection, they have implemented this application firewall. So if you have a ASA firewall, which is traditional firewall, and I want to do deep inspect to avoid vulnerabilities, everything, so I need to purchase one more product called application based firewall, or you can purchase called device called IPS, which can do layer 7 inspection, do deep inspection, and it will identify the applications, virus, malwares, everything it can able to implement. That kind of devices need to be implemented. Okay, so for each and every device in IPS we have a different kind of functionalities. For each and every functionality previously separate devices you need to implement it. So that is called UTM features, like application control, separate firewall. Antivirus functions, we need to antivirus and IPS functions, you need to deploy different devices. Okay, so let's say this is your internal network and I want to achieve in this internal network, this is my gateway firewall, let's say ASA firewall, and I want to achieve application control. So web-based app firewalls, application firewall need to be deployed, and application control function firewall need to be deployed, and then antivirus IPS functions device need to be deployed. Okay, then only it will be connected. So like that, multiple devices for different purpose you need to be deployed in the previous days. So to avoid that, okay, so because of that, what will happen? Your traffic, same traffic. Let's say some outside user he tried to access your internal PC. He tried to take a remote access. So this traffic first it will reach to your gateway, and your gateway will do layer 3 and layer 4 inspection and firewalling. Okay, and if the rule ACL is allowed, then it will be allowed to internal network, and while allowing that it will enter into the application firewall. And application firewall, if suppose that it is allow that remote access application like RDP application services, then it will be allowed. And then while do some transaction in that communication, you try to download or upload some files. So in that case, your antivirus file antivirus engine will do deep inspect the same traffic once again. If everything is fine, then only it will further forward the traffic to the destination, guys. So now the same traffic tries its need to deep inspect, tries its need to process. So it's not only 3 times, it depends on the applications, or depends on the UTM implementation you have done on your production network. So based on that, the packet will be multiple time will be processed. Because of that, it will occur a latency in your production network. So to avoid that, later on they have implemented. So I need only one device which will do all the functions: layer 3 to layer 4 filter, layer 7 filter, and application control, URL filter, file blocking, user-based authentication, data leakage protection, everything. Sorry, guys, everything I need to implement, but I need only one device, and that is called next generation firewall. They have later on they have implemented the firewall called next generation firewall. Next generation firewall also it's a stateful firewall only, and it will do layer 3 filter. I mean, you if you want to control or deny the traffic based on the IP address, that is possible, or allow or deny the traffic based on the protocol TCP or UDP and services, or HTTP or HTTPS, whatever the services, right? It is possible. And when if you want to allow or deny the traffic based on the application and micro applications, like Facebook I want to allow and Twitter I don't want to allow, that is possible by your next generation firewall. And inside the Facebook, I want to deny chat applications, I want to deny file sharing applications. So that is possible since we have a layer 7 as well as I want to allow that Facebook or Twitter access my product, my production only for that specific employees, like sales team only or technical team only. I want to allow user based authentication. It is possible. Okay, and along with deep inspection, whether the allowed traffic, if all is fine, allowed the allowed data, we need to make sure whether the data is secure or not. So we need a UTM feature which will do deep inspects again the virus, malware, like antivirus, anti-malware, and then spyware, zero-day threat protection, file blocking, data leakage protection, URL filter, so intrusion prevention, right? The vulnerability identification, right? So everything I want to achieve. So for all that, I have a product called one single product I have, that is called next generation firewall. So here, whatever the firewall we are going to learn expert except ASA, all are next generation firewall only. All are having these features. So we are going to implement all these features in our production enterprise. Okay, clear? Any doubt as of now, guys? Any queries? So I hope, uh, due to time concern, I have taken a little bit faster in last 10 minutes. Okay. So in deeper way, we will analysis in our live session, guys. Okay. I mean, our live batch. Okay. So as of now, I hope you are aware what is firewall, what are the type of firewall we have, and why we need to use the firewall, and why we need to im implement, what is the purpose of having next generation, why we need to have a next generation firewall, what is traditional firewall, what is the difference between the traditional firewalling system and next generation firewall, what is the advantage of we when you're implementing the next generation firewall, right? Everything clear? Clear, guys? Any doubts? Any queries? Okay, guys. No? Fine. So that's all about the introduction to the firewall. So now we are going to head into the initial configuration of FortiGate firewall. Okay. So we have 40 minutes. Okay, so I'll try to cover within 30 to 40 minutes for this initial configuration with the FortiGate firewall. Okay, and today we are going to see how to access your FortiGate firewall CLI very fast time, and how to configure interfaces, interface IP address and all, and how to access the console of your FortiGate firewall. What is the default console, default services will be acceptable by your FortiGate firewall. Everything we'll see now. Okay, and later on we'll go in a deeper way. Okay, so let's start the lab now. For lab purpose, I'm going to use the tool called Evengy. Okay, so right now I'm going to use this simple topology for that. Okay, and I'm going to use this FortiGate firewall, and we are using a FortiGate VM KVM 64 model. Okay, so for learning purpose here, so in this, it's a software based firewall, VM based firewall. Okay, so in this firewall, it's a fresh firewall. Very first time we don't have a, I mean, this is a fresh firewall which is not configured anything. Okay, so as a fresh firewall, what you have to do? Let's, if you suppose if you're getting a hardware, your team asks you to configure the hardware based firewall. Okay, this is your FortiGate firewall. in this FortiGate firewall, you need to connect this FortiGate firewall with your management PC very first time when you are trying to access the console. While doing initial configuration, you have to follow these steps. First, you need to access the console, right? So you need to configure your management port. So you can, whether you can go with the default IP addresses or you can configure, but in a real-time scenario, you need to change your management network based on your organization management IP, management interface IP of your FortiGate firewall, and you need to assign based on your organization needs. Okay. And second, after configure your management port, you need to access the console through CLI. I mean, either the console you can management port configuration, you can do it through CLI console or GUI console. So whichever your preferred, you can access through that. Okay. After that, you need to change your default settings. Before deploy your firewall into the live production network. Default settings like credential, username and password, default management IP. Okay. And then you need to define who are all going to access your FortiGate firewall. Okay. Access restriction. Admin restrictions you have to apply. Okay, so those who are all, if you're working for some client, you need to ask with the client who are all going to access this FortiGate firewall for configuration, deployment, and feature implementation, or troubleshooting purpose, maintenance activities, whatever it is, right? So how many type of teams are going to access or administrators are going to access, right? So that you need to implement, that you need to ask with the your client or ask with your organization, and what type of privileges. Let's say three different teams are trying to access your firewall. Let's say networking team, network engineers, sometimes they will try to access. If you're working in a uh, huge enterprise and organization, right? They have a different kind of team, right? So who will implement the networking activities, network process, configuring the interfaces, routing, enabling routing, right? So these kind of deployment, in deployment and implementation and all will follow by some team from networking, specialized deployment team or whatever it is. So it depends on the organization. Okay, it will be vary. So let's assume here it's a common use case. So networking team need to access for interface configuration or SD-WAN implementation, right? So like that, routing configuration. Okay, so routing configuration, whatever it is. And then sometime audit team need to access your firewall logs to verify your security implementations. So audit team. And then firewall administration team who is trying to do day-to-day activities like taking a backup or configuring the file policies and enabling the objects. So firewall management team or firewall admin team, it depends on that. The team might different name might have, it depends on the organization. Okay. Okay. So let's take this three use cases only now. So it depends on that multiple team members, multiple teams or multiple team members that they try to access it. So in that case, so we need to restrict the privileges. So networking team will do interface configuration and routing related configuration and SD-WAN implementation. So we should, why we need to provide full access of your FortiGate firewall. Okay, so we should not provide full access to that particular team members when they are trying to access your FortiGate firewall. The audit team will check the log informations only, log and event only they will be read, right? So why we need to provide unnecessarily to full access to that particular firewall to everyone who is from, I mean, for the audit team who is not belongs to implement the security policies right now. Okay. Or so we should not provide full access to that particular team members. So you need to restrict them what kind of access they need to have, what kind of privileges they are going to use, we are going to provide them to act based on their job role. Okay. So like that, a firewall administration team also, for which members, some of the employees are might be the L1 level, L1 L2 level of engineers. So they will do some basic activities, basic functions only. They will work on with basic functions only, right? So that privileges you can restrict. Okay. So as a third step, you need to restrict the admin access privileges. You need to create admin user account, different admin user account for the different team access with the different privileges, access level. Okay. And then register that product. Actually, you can mention that one as second itself, okay, or third itself, but you can do it like this as well. Okay. So you need to register with product like Fortinet, whatever the firewall. Okay. So now we are taking Fortinet as an example. So Fortinet tag account we need to register. We need to register with Fortinet tag account, and we need to apply all the necessary licenses. Okay. Then you need to implement basic routing functions, whatever you need to access the routing, NAT, then security policies, like what is the interface configuration. So before that, fifth step, interface, whatever the deployment, how you are going to deploy, that you need to decide. As a fifth step, deployment option. So you are going to deploy as a gateway firewall or switching environment firewall, right? So deployment you have to choose NAT or NAT mode or layer 2 mode, right? So you need to transparent mode, right? So you need to def define that, and after that only necessary configuration you are going to do it. So interface configuration and routing NAT, and then security policies, and then you can, after all this doing this, you can go with the seventh option, you can go with the testing. Okay. And after testing, you can implement eighth option, you can implement. Okay. So now today we are going to, in under initial configuration, we are going to just go with the step one, and then we are going to explore the GUI. Due to time concern, we'll explore GUI console and CLI console of your FortiGate firewall. What are all the menus we have, what is the functions we will, for what functions we will go with the which menu, that kind of walkthrough. I want to give some walkthrough for your FortiGate GUI console. Okay. So within 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, we can do that only. So I'll go with the step one, and upcoming sessions we will implement properly from step one to step three, step two, step three, step four, step five, like that. Okay. We'll implement this. Okay. But in a real-time scenario, you have to follow these steps. First, when you try to access the very first time port, you are going to configure your management port, and you're going by accessing the by using default settings, and you need to change your default settings later on. I mean after access, and then you need to define who are all going to access and their privileges, and then you need to register this product, and then you need to decide which type of deployment you are going to implement, and based on that you are going to configure the policy, routing, NAT, right? So VPN, whatever it is, and all implemented. You should not directly deploy it in a live production. You should go with the testing. If everything is fine with the testing, then only you need to implement in a live production. Okay. So now, fine. Let's start with the initial configuration with FortiGate firewall. As I mentioned, when you're getting a fresh FortiGate hardware firewall, you have a dedicated management port, whatever it is, 40D, 50, 60, whatever the higher end value, higher end devices, right? So you have a dedicated hardware, I mean, management port, which is pre-configured with the IP address This is default management IP address if it is a hardware based firewall. Default management interface IP address if it is a hardware based firewall. So what you have to do very first time, this management port, you need to connect with your management, your laptop, desktop, or which is you are using in your organization, right? So let's connect with this laptop, I mean a desktop, and you need to give a reachability. You need to make a reachability between your management port of your FortiGate firewall and your management PC. So by default, this Ethernet port, management port, is configured, since it's a configured with 192.168.1.99 IP. So first of all, we are going to change that same network IP on your management PC. Okay. So now what we have to do, you need to assign the IP address from this range itself. So let's assume we are assigning the IP address 192.168.1.100/24 network. So after that, we will have a reachability, and that you can able to test by the ping protocol, right? Ping, and that will be acceptable by your FortiGate firewall on your management interface. Reason, by default, your management interface of your FortiGate HTTPS, SSH, if it is a hardware based firewall, okay, and some other protocol, FGM. Okay. So these services are by default enabled on your management interface, not your data interfaces. You might have multiple data interfaces. So not on your data interface. So management interface itself, these services are already enabled to accept. So if you are trying to ping from your management PC after assign the same network, obviously you'll get the reply. If you're able to ping, then you can access the console of CLI of your FortiGate firewall or GUI of your FortiGate firewall. If you want to access the GUI, then you have to use HTTPS services, right? So HTTP protocol you have to use to access your GUI console, which means in your management PC, you have one browser. Then from that browser, you need to access the HTTPS services by calling HTTPS of the following IP, and then you will get your FortiGate firewall console. The prompt you will get, I mean the login console you will get, whether it will ask username and password. So by default, username and password will be given behind your hardware itself. So if you don't know, username is admin and there is no password. It's null. There is no password. You should not provide any password. The password column should be empty and you have to enter. Okay, so this is the default credential of your FortiGate firewall, guys. And this is your default management interface IP of your FortiGate firewall. Okay, if it is a hardware based firewall. And by default, these protocols are enabled on your management interface for administrative purpose, administrator login purpose. Okay, so just note it down if you want. These three services, majorly these three services, and additionally FortiGate FGM protocol, which is used to communicate with the Fortinet products. So that protocol is additionally is enabled, and okay. So by calling your default IP addresses and through HTTPS services, and by given a default credential, you can able to access the GUI console of your FortiGate firewall. If you want to access the CLI, then same, you can use the same management interface IP, but services you need to choose SSH service, secure service, right? So SSH through by calling SSH protocol, by calling this IP address, you can able to access the CLI console of your FortiGate firewall. And again, the CLI will ask you to provide the credential, the same default credential, username is admin, password is null. Okay. If suppose if your team is asking you to configure the VM firewall, similarly what I have right. Okay. So in that case, your virtual machine, virtual firewall, it's not a hardware firewall. It doesn't have a dedicated management port. Okay. It doesn't have a dedicated management port. Okay. So your VM firewall will have data ports only. And in the data port, port 1 is by default enabled with ping, HTTP, HTTPS, SSH, FGF. Okay, so these services are by default enabled in your port 1 interface. Okay, and so you can use this port 1 as your dedicated management port when you're using VM based file. You don't have a dedicated management port in your VM firewalls, just like I mean, not like your hardware based firewall. Okay, and this port is by default configured as a DHCP client. So you don't have a default IP address to call your management interface in your, I mean, which is your port 1 in your FortiGate firewall, because it is configured as a DHCP client. If suppose in your production network, if you have a DHCP server, it will assign one IP address. So that address you can check it later. I mean, after that, you can verify your IP assignment if you have a DHCP server, and that IP will be provided. It will be provide the IP. What is the IP that it's assigned? Okay, that you can able to see by using some commands. I'll let you know later. Okay. So now, but remaining default values like username is same. Password, there is no null password only. Null password only. There is no password. Remaining same. Only management interface IP is not having, it's configured as a DHCP client, and it doesn't have a dedicated management port. So we have a port 1 by default. We enable with the administrative services, following administrative services. So you can connect with your port 1 for the management purpose. Okay. And later on, you can use your any data ports as your management port. Okay. Very first time you can use your port 1 only as your management port. Okay. So now we are going to we are going to change the IP address. Since it's a management, I mean, VM firewall, we don't know what is the IP address for this VM firewall, because it's not using a default value. It is configured as a DHCP client. Okay, so we need to access this firewall console, right? So in this use case, if you deploy this VM firewall in your physical servers in your organization, or you are working this VM firewall with a cloud-based implementation. So obviously, if you have a DHCP server, you have a console, VM console like this. Okay, it will be if you deploy this firewall into the VMware workstation or ESXi operating system directly, right? So in that case, you have console in that virtualization application tools. In that console itself, it will show IP like this. Okay, but in our use case, we are not directly install this VM machine, this FortiGate firewall into the VMware workstation. Okay, I have installed one operating system called 𝑭𝒊𝒓𝒄𝒂𝒍𝒍, so which we used for the lab purpose, 𝑭𝒊𝒓𝒄2, the simulator. Okay, similar to GNS3, it's one of the tool. That tool we have installed. Inside that tool only, I have installed the FortiGate firewall, so I cannot access the IP address directly like that. So in that case, in this tool, to access the direct console, okay, just double click this this hardware. I mean this machine, just coming to this machine and double click on this machine, it will open the console, guys. Direct console, it will be automatically open. Okay, and hit enter. You can able to see it is asking you to log in with the firewall credentials. Okay, so let me change settings. Okay, so now it is asking us to log in with the user credential. What is the user credential, guys? Default credential of your FortiGate firewall. Whether it is a CLI, I mean, whether it is a VM or whether it is a hardware-based firewall, username is the admin. I'm getting admin, and if I try to give some password, let's see what will happen. I have typed some password, and you can see that login incorrect because by default it doesn't have a password. So username is admin. In password, I'm not going to type anything. I'm going to directly give enter, and you can see now it is asking me to change the password because we are not having any password, so we need to set the new password. So new password, let me assign new password now. Okay, sorry, it is exit from the password. Now assign the new password. I will reconfirm that password. So now I have assigned the password. Okay, so now if I logged out, I exit from the console, and when I try to log in, it will ask password once again. Okay, so it will ask the password. So now in my firewall, this is a CLI. In the CLI console right now, I am in a, okay, just a minute, guys. Right now I'm in a operational mode. This is this hashtag symbol. I'm in a, where you can execute most of the scenarios, show commands, and say basic commands you can set. Okay, you can configure. So that is called operational mode. Mostly you can execute the show command and test commands. Okay, and if I want to do some configuration, then I need to enter into the configuration mode. So to enter into the configuration mode right now, I'm going to verify. So this is a FortiGate firewall, VM firewall, right? So it's configured as a DHCP client, right? So I'm going to verify that whether that my DHCP server assigned the IP address or not for my management interface. So which is my management interface in this firewall? It's a VM firewall port one. Why I'm saying port one? We by default we need to choose as a management. Let me show you. So system interface is the command to verify your available interfaces in your FortiGate firewall. And if you look at that port one, DHCP and allow access, ping HTTPS, SSH and HTTP, right? Only these four services are allowed right now. Okay. On which port? Port one only. If you look at the port two, its IP assignment is none. There is no IP for port 2, port 3, port 4. Our IP assignment method is are also not a DHCP client. Okay, and administrative access protocols services are not enabled with any port 2, port 3, port 4 like that. Okay, so port 1 only by default it is configured and that is enabled with this administrative services. So that's why I ask you to connect with your port 1 as a default management interface for BM files. Okay, so now to access, we know that to now we access the CLI console. Now I want to access the GUI console. To access the GUI console, I need to know what is the IP address of my management interface. So, but here in port one, as I'm selecting that I have connected my port one in my topology. I have connected my port one with my management PC. This is my management PC right now. Okay. So this PC connected with port 1 itself. So I want to access the console from this PC my main PC. Okay. So to connect the console, right? So I have in my inbuilt, I mean in my local machine, I have connected with the DHCP server, so which is my Wi-Fi router. Okay. So now let's try to verify my IP address of my management PC. Sorry, my management interface of my FortiGate firewall. For this, you need to use this command get system interface physical physical interface. I want to know because it's configured as a DHCP client. It will not directly show you on your interface details on the interface configuration itself. So you need to physically, you need to deeply see your interface configuration. Okay, especially on that specific port. Okay, so now get system interface physical IP address. I need to know physical port. We have a logical interfaces and physical interfaces. So I'm going to verify some information about my physical interfaces. And in that physical interfaces, we have port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. So which port you want to, which interface name which interface you want to read some more information, right? So you need to define port 1. I want to know about port 1 only. So I just add port 1. Now, if you look at that, this port 1 is configured as DHCP mode and IP assignment. It's automatically assigned with 192.168.1.8 and /24 network. Okay, which is part of my physical LAN subnet. So that from my physical LAN, I have DHCP server, I got IP addresses. Okay, so right now, if you're not able to understand how it is connected with the DHCP server in this tool, so that is fine. I'll tell you while doing a lab installation, okay, lab setup. I'll tell you what is the features we have inside that, how to connect with that, everything. So you no need to worry about it, guys. Okay, so now I have one I mean, I have one IP address on my FortiGate firewall. So I no need to configure anything much in my CLI. I know what is my IP address. Okay. I need to verify only whether I'm having a reachability between my FortiGate firewall and my management PC. So what is my management PC? My base machine, which is I'm using right now for teaching purpose. So this is the machine. Let me verify my base machine IP address. 190.168.1.100/24 network only. The same network only I have 190.168.1.8/24 network only I have connected with my FortiGate firewall. So obviously they have a reachability, right? So let me verify that. Ping, sorry, execute ping. This is the command to execute the ping, or when you are trying to do ping, when you are trying to do trace route, when you are trying to do take a backup or restore, you need to use the command previously, whatever the command you're going to use, that particular operation, the previous keyword you have to use execute. Okay, so execute ping. Execute ping. What is the destination? 192 dot my management PC 168.1.1.100. You can see I have a reachability between my FortiGate firewall and my management PC. So from my management PC, from my browser, I can able to access my FortiGate firewall GUI console 192.168.1.8 by crawling 1.8. Go to advanced, proceed. Okay. So username is admin and username password is admin. This is your FortiGate firewall CLI console. And now, sorry, GUI console. And now what is the error we are getting here? It's actually, it is not error. It's a fresh firewall and it is asking us to register the license, register the product. Okay, previous versions in 6.2, 6.4, in 7.0 also. Right now we are using a latest version 7.6, 48, 40OS 7.6. Okay. 7.0 up to 7.0, they simply allow 7.2, simply they allow us to access the GUI console, and we can able to explore whatever the console options we have. Okay, but now first you need to register the product. Okay, then only you can able to see the GUI console. But CLI, there is no restriction. You can configure in your CLI whatever you want. Interface configuration, IP assignment, right? Everything, all the commands will be executed. Okay, but CLI GUI console, if you want to explore, you need to register that. So to for register this product in your Fortinet, you need Fortinet tag account. Okay, so I'm going to take this session in our live session, because creating a tag account and registering this product, it will take another 1 hour. So we don't have much time and right now. So I already have one device which is registered. Okay. So that to explore or to show you the FortiGate firewall GUI console. Okay. So I'm going to use that firewall console right now. Okay. And this registration process, we will do it on our live sessions. No worries. Okay. So this is the firewall which already I have registered with Fortinet tag account. So I want to verify what is my management interface IP. What is the command? Get system interface physical port 1. This is the command to execute the port 1 interface IP if the port 1 is configured as a DHCP server. Okay, but now I'm manually configured with a static. Okay, so in detailed IP assignment information, I have it. Okay, so in this device, I have configured as a static method. So I'll so in this hardware also, in this machine also, if you want to assign the IP address in your static method, so let me go. Okay, so it will, if I start here, it will go another 10 to 15 to 20 minutes to explain all the commands, like what is set mode command, what is set IP command, and how to enable the administrative services of on each and every interfaces. So it will go with that. And already I have taken the session in our previous demo itself. So that link also I'll share with you guys. So how to access the CLI and few CLI commands, right? In the same session itself I have taken, that I'll give you for your reference. You can just refer it, guys. Okay. And now go. Due to 5 more minutes only we have. So I want to show you how FortiGate GUI console will be look like, and what are the features we have inside that, and that I want to give you some walkthrough. So let me go with that. My existing device, which is having IP address with 192.168.1.7 IP and username admin password. Okay, so now this is your FortiGate firewall 7.6 version, latest operating system which we are using it. Okay, and this is the console. Okay, so the first console first page, you're seeing that, right? So this is called a dashboard. So here in this dashboard, you will know some information about your hardware, and you know some information about the license information. You'll know some info about hardware administrative. This dashboard can be customizable, so that we will see in our upcoming session while taking administrative access. Okay, how to create multiple administrator and how to restrict the admin privileges for each administrators. Okay, while doing that, you can able to see how to customize the console. Okay, so as of now, it will give you some logical statistics about your information, some information about your hardware. So like what type of deployment right now it is deployed, what is the operating system version it is used, right? And what is your applicate WAN interface IP addresses, and then how many administrators are logged in through direct console, through HTTP GUI console, what is the that particular administrator privilege, what is the access level he has, right? And then any other, this FortiGate firewall is connected with any other Fortinet product, right? So it's fabric connectors, which is show you any centralized Forti manager is connected with your FortiGate firewall, or Forti analyzer is connected with your FortiGate firewall, right? So like that, or you have a FortiGuard subscription, cloud-based subscription feature, like that, it will show you any other firewall, any other Fortinet products is integrated with your FortiGate firewall. That information it will show you under Fabric connectors, and hard right now how many active sessions are there, and what is your hardware utilization, CPU utilization, and RAM utilization. This information you can able to see in this dashboard, and this dashboard is totally customizable. You have lot of options here. So this dashboard, additionally, it has multiple options, so like 40 view, 40 view features. So here, these features, this dashboard will help, it will help us to verify the logs. So if you want to know widely used websites, or widely used applications, or any traffic based on any traffic is blocked or allowed based on the specific policy, based on the specific application, based on the specific source, right? That you can able to view. It's basically it's used for log verification. It's used for monitoring purpose only, guys. Okay, and you can monitor your IPsec you configurations or tunnel information. You can monitor routing, how what your routing updates. You can able to see DHCP if you have a DHCP configured in this firewall, right? So DHCP server, IP lease informations, everything you can able to see, right? So any administrators are logged in with your firewall through in your firewall through local user authentication or remote user authentication. So that information you can able to see, right? So a lot of information by using FortiView itself. Okay, and we have under dashboard. Okay, and we'll explore much. Everything will go with if you are implement SD-WAN feature SD-WAN activities you can able to see here, right? Likewise, any IP, as already mentioned, IPsec. So right, so the log and monitoring purpose dashboard will help us, and additionally some other information you can able to see what a high availability status, right? So any hardware is connected, right? Everything you can able to see in upcoming session deeper way. And under network menu only, whatever the interface configuration, routing configuration, SD-WAN configuration. So that's dashboard, it's for monitoring purpose. Okay, log verification monitoring purpose, and it will show you some statistical info about your hardware. Okay, license info, statistical info about your CPU, and then RAM utilization, right? So that and all. But when in terms of configuration, you need to go with any interface configuration, routing configuration, right? So that your SD-WAN configuration, that you will implement under network menu. Any security policy, if you want to allow or deny, you want to create a policy to allow or deny the traffic, that you will be implemented on policy and object menu. Okay, virtual IPs, NAT implementation, firewall policies, DDoS policy, any any bandwidth restrictions if you want to apply, right? So in that case, you will implement in the policy and object itself. And you want to utilize next generation firewall feature called UTM feature, like application control, URL filter, file blocking, data leakage protection. Everything you can implement in your firewall policy. But this firewall policy, first you need to create this next generation firewall features. You need to create as a profile. This configuration you need to do it under here. If I want to achieve antivirus profile, I want to do deep inspect again the virus, so I need to enable antivirus feature. So the profile I need to create here like this, and this profile I need to attach in my policy. Here you have option called antivirus. That profile whatever you are creating, that will be applied here. So like that you need to configure. Okay, And then so any next generation features like URL filter, file blocking, video, if you want to do video filters, if you want to do DNS filter, right? And if you want to do application control, micro application control, in intrusion preventions, right? And everything you can able to implement here only. You need to configure here, then you need to attach there in your security policy. Then only you will able to get the output properly. Okay. And then if you want to configure VPN configurations, so IPsec VPN, SSL VPN, that you are going to configure under VPN menu. Okay, VPN wizard. So what kind of VPN you are going to configure, right? So that under VPN menu you are going to configure, guys. So if you want to do user authentication and you want to integrate your Active Directory server or your LDAP server, I mean LDAP server or Radius server, any user management servers, if you want to integrate with your FortiGate firewall, that you need to do it here. And local user database, if you want to create that, you need to do it under user and authentication itself. Okay, so here only. And system, the HA configuration, administrative privileges, admin profile creation, right? And your firewall registration and patch update, firmware update, right? So that and all you need to do it and integrated with the FortiGuard features, right? And that and all you need to do it under system menu and security fabric menu. If you want to integrate your any Active Directory server or any third party devices into your FortiGate firewall or any Fortinet brands into the Fortinet firewall, then you need to go with the Fortinet fabric connectors under fabric security fabrics. Okay, so here only any automations, if you want to do like if you want to do script execution automatically, right? So that you need to do it under security fabrics only, automated secure backup execution, right? The automatic configuration you are going to schedule, right? So that and all you will need to do it under security fabric. Okay, and finally you have additional menu, some more menu which is uh, used for the log and monitoring purpose, log and report, which is used for the monitoring purpose. So any virus malware intrusions are identified, that you can able to see the log here under security events, right? If all the traffic is simply forwarded without having any issues in the forwarded traffic, you can able to see here. Okay, any security issues you have, like any virus or malware or application control URL filter, anything is identified and the traffic is blocked, that you have to you can read that information under here. The log will be generated here, that log you can able to see here. Okay. Yes, so these are all the smart walkthrough I have given about the Fortinet GUI console. Okay, a lot of info we have, lot of menus we have inside. Okay, so I'll let you know. Here it's just a formal menu only. Inside that we have multiple menus we have, so that we will under system. If you go, a lot of information you can able to see. Features. These are all the menus. Multiple menus, multiple features are disabled here, hidden. Okay, so that we, if you want, we can enable it. Okay, so that and all, how to do that, how to enable that features, everything we will see in our live session, guys. Okay, so any doubt as of now? So I hope I hope I can understand. So within I'm taking this 5IN1 Firewall Mastery Program. So within 2 hours, it's very easy to it's not very easy to implement lab with all the firewalls. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I'll give you the previous sessions recorded videos for your reference. So from each firewall, so you can just refer it and you can join, guys. Okay, so after that you can decide. And so as I mentioned, in our WhatsApp group, I'll share the schedule information like when the batch is going to start. Actual batch is going to start on 18th December, coming Wednesday. We are starting two batches, morning and evening batches. Morning batch will start with ASA. Yes, Sunit, we can do. Yeah. So morning batch. We'll start with ASA. Timing will be 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Evening batch will start with 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is going to start with FortiGate. Morning batch, which is going to start with ASA, guys. Okay. So, if any queries as of now regarding
The
your
FortiGate,
training?
what time it is starting FortiGate?
Evening, this time, I mean 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So the demo is
Okay.
scheduled right 7 p.m. the same timing.
Okay.
Okay, so the same timing. It's a evening. It's a weekdays batch and uh, weekdays batch only. Monday to Friday we have session. Okay, so like I'll share my contact details. Yeah, the price for 5 in1 firewall. Let me stop my recording. So which already we have implemented. I mean, I have mentioned this in my recorded video itself. So, so the price for this 5 in1 Firewall Mastery Program. So if you for 5 in1 Firewall, actual cost for this 5 in1 Firewall is 40,000 guys. 40,000 INR. Okay. So if you are from abroad, that is 600 USD. So due to year-end sale, we are extended that 50% offer. Okay. So for this batch, you will get the 50% offer. So you can take this course for 20,000 INR itself. Okay. So 20,000 itself and 300 USD. Okay. So you can take this course and you can make this payment in an installment payment. If you're looking for a split payment, right? Installment option you can make it in a 3 installment. Okay. So first installment should be a 50% of your course fee. So that is 10,000 INR. 10,000 INR. Okay. And 150 USD. Okay. And second, while joining your firewall training, first installment you need to pay. Second installment you need to pay remaining 50% when you enter into the second firewall. In that 25% of the course fee remaining 50%, you need to pay 25%. Okay, so which means 5,000 INR. 75 USD. Okay, for abroad students. Third installment after completion of second firewall, when you enter into the third firewall, that time you have to implement you have to pay while joining third firewall, you need to pay remaining 25%. So that is 5,000. Okay. And if you are ready to make your payment as a single payment, this is for installment option. Who is ready to make a single payment, you will get additional offer. Okay. So you will get the 20,000, sorry, 20,000 INR you can get for 15,000 itself. Okay, so which means you will get additional 5,000 offer. Okay, so you no need to pay 20,000, you can pay 15,000. So additional 5,000 offer you will get. For other students, so you can able to, if you are ready to make a single payment instead of 300 USD, you can get this course for 240 USD plus tax based on the transaction conversion tax. Okay. Okay, so that you need to pay from based on the payment gateway you are going to apply. Let's say PayPal. We are receiving money from PayPal itself, or you can go with Wise, or you can whichever is feasible to you. You can just let me know. I'll tell you whichever the feasible payment to you. Okay, you can go with that payment. And for Indian students, you can able to make your payment through IMPS, through UPI. Okay, so for payment details, payment information, we will share with you, and that information we will share with from our official contact number. Okay, so I will share those who are interested to join this batch. I will share one Google form. So I request you to fill this Google form along with your contact number, along with your WhatsApp. Okay, so our team, our team will call you from this number. I'll ping. I'll Okay, 9597818863. This is the official number for any administration process. Okay, and you can. I'll just post this here in your chat box itself. Okay, so please contact this number. You can just do WhatsApp. Okay, so my team will ping you. Okay, and any queries regarding the course or training or any regarding the fee structure, right? And everything you can discuss with us. Then you can proceed your payment base, and the payment gateway information will be given on while doing a admission process. Okay, you can contact us, and I request you to fill that form. The team will contact you. Okay, so no need to worry about this. From this number itself, we'll call you guys. Okay, or we'll chat, we'll communicate through WhatsApp as well. Okay, so anything else, guys? So the proper schedule information and fee structure, everything I'll share through WhatsApp, and course curriculum also, everything we'll share after this demo. You will get within 1 hour, you'll get that information. Okay, so in our WhatsApp group itself, guys. Okay, you can refer that. And this is your our last 5-in-1 firewall batch. Okay, so we hereafter we are not going to take 5-in-1 firewall combo combo batch. Okay, so and this is the last offer we are providing. This 50% offer. This is the last batch. We are going to provide this 50% offer as well. Okay, so if you are interested, I request you to enroll in this batch itself, guys. Okay, to utilize, if you want to avail this offer, okay, you can utilize this batch. Anything else, guys? Any queries? Any doubts? Any doubts? No. So, okay, guys. So that's it today. We'll meet on our live session coming Wednesday. Okay. So as I mentioned, we will share you the form. Okay, I request you to fill up that form, guys. Okay, our team will contact you. Okay. Okay, guys. Happy weekend. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you.